Hi, this is Rob.
And Katie from Livin Lovin Disney.
With a big thanks for listening to the podcast. But we'd also like to remind you to subscribe, follow, and rate us on the following sites: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, or Podbean.
Also, you can find us on Facebook. We'd love to hear some suggestions and comments that we could use maybe in our future shows.
Hi, this is Rob and Katie. Welcome into Livin
Lovin Disney.
All right, welcome into the newest episode of the show. We appreciate you downloading the show on all the platforms. Continue to do so. We're really grateful for that. We're going to get right into some Mickey bits, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with some of the parks reopening. So we got a little bit of the story. I'm sure some of you have
already heard,
but we'll talk about it anyways, just in case you haven't. And that's the reopening of Disneyland.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, so let's get into that. We'll talk a little bit about our trip as well. But go ahead, Katie, why don't you get into that story?
So the news goes that the theme parks will reopen on July 17th with Downtown Disney on July 9th, and 2 hotels being Disneyland California, the California Hotel, and Disney's Paradise Pier will open on the 23rd. There is no dates yet for opening the Disneyland Hotel. Not quite sure what's going on there, but that is on hold. Only your people with current pass holders or annual pass holder passes or existing tickets are actually being able to make reservations at the moment to get into the park. Okay. No ticket sales yet. There will be no parades, no nighttime spectaculars until things are released more. The characters will entertain, but they'll entertain in a different way. There's still a lot of social distancing.
6 feet away.
So I don't know if I could do it. I would probably get arrested if I went down there because I would hug Mickey and somebody would haul me away.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, all these things that you said that they're not going to be doing, that's a big part of your Disney experience, isn't it? I mean, parades. And I mean, whenever we go to Disney, you're always wanting to be characters. And you love to give Mickey a hug, right?
You've not gone to Disney for me, and the trip is not complete until I go see Mickey. I have to see him. I have to. I have to go hug Mickey, and I cry every time.
I don't have to, but I like seeing some characters, but not every character. I mean, as Aaliyah's gotten older, we haven't had to do that as much. She still likes to see characters too, but that is a huge part of a Disney trip.
Yeah.
For families is for little kids to say hello to Mickey or their favorite princess or prince. I don't even know if anybody cares about the prince. I hope they do, but you know, it seems to be more about princesses and stuff like that. But there are a lot of characters that people like to meet and give hugs. Now at Disneyland, they seem to just walk around more. And they tend to be, or at least in the past, more available to the guests.
True.
In the park, because you're not waiting in a line to see a character per se at Disneyland.
You're right. And
they might just pop out.
On what you said previously.
What?
It is all about the princesses, and we've had a ton of movies about princesses of all race and color and hair color and denomination. It's time for a Prince movie.
Yeah, but
I don't know how to do it. But
what's he
going to
do? Rescue himself?
Hey, it's not like Tangled really needs to be rescued. Rapunzel had
it
going on.
She had that frying pan.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe build a story other than Tarzan. There's not a lot of movies about.
It's all right. But that's part of the whole story is the prince and the princess and the rescuing.
Fairy tale.
And
gotcha.
It's a fairy tale story. I mean, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. I mean, there's plenty of stories as of late that don't necessarily have that. You have Frozen. It's the sister rescuing the sister. You know, so they've kind of moved that way. I don't want them to demean, is that a word? The other stories.
No.
I like the old-fashioned,
Oh, I do too.
way of the storytelling. But, the other stuff's good too, and the way they do it, the humor they use to do it's good. But that's gotten a little bit off the subject, but that is a big part of the experience of going to the park, is to see those characters and meeting them.
Yeah.
After all, where is Rob's hand on
Ariel
in her grotto? I don't know.
I did. I know. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone.
I constantly get crap for that one, so.
Hey, I get
crap. It was nowhere near her fin.
It was near her tail fin, sir. Certainly was. Right there when I was hugging Chewbacca. Right near his tail fin.
Well, you're kind of short, so.
It wasn't intentional.
Anyway. So is there anything else about Disneyland that, with the reopening, that...
They're going to, just like everything else as they've been telling as they open Disney World, they're going to take your temperature. They're going to require masks. There's going to be social distancing.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
Passes.
How are they going to do social distancing in a Disneyland park?
Lines painted everywhere, but I just don't see how you can completely stay away from each other in a park and make money with the amount of crowd that you have to have in there.
Yeah, that's another question. Where's the line where they actually start making money? How many people do they have to have in the park to where they're going to profit the way they need to as a Disney park?
Because they're overstaffing in some ways to keep it clean with all the new protocol.
I mean, if they're going to, it sounds to me like they're going to limit the amount of people that can be in the park. I mean, if you have to make a reservation to be in the park,
correct.
I hope making a reservation is actually means something, unlike that scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when Steve Martin made the reservation for the car and he went out to the car parking space with his keys and there was no car, and so it was a snowstorm and he went back in and he goes, and I'll edit it, but it's so funny. You gave me effing keys to an effing car that wasn't effing there. What do you think about that? And then the lady looks back at him and goes, sounds like you're effed. But I don't know. So that in that case, reservation didn't mean anything because he still couldn't
get anywhere.
So hopefully
it'll be weird. It's
going to be that didn't mean
it's going to be different.
That made no sense whatsoever, people.
And there's rides that won't be open. There's certain rides that they cannot do and still honor the social distancing rules.
For example, which one do you think they won't open?
So
did it say in that article?
It has not dictated what rides are going to be open, but we could probably look at Disney World, what is open, and learn a lot just from that.
Yeah.
I would imagine from what they had said previously, like on Pirates of the Caribbean, where you all get in a big boat, and Jungle Cruise, things like that, where you're all crunched together, that it's not going to be the same.
Why couldn't they do it, though?
They space you on Pirates by family or single units.
Are they going to make you social distance within your own family?
No. A whole family can sit on a row. So why couldn't they take a group,
one single group of, say, a family, say you had 10 people in your group. Why couldn't they put 10 people on a boat and
they probably
the Jungle
could,
Cruise?
But it would take reservations. There's going to be some type of ride reservation thing that is going on, and I don't quite understand it all yet. But I know that they're doing that.
We won't know until we see
like the queue at Star Wars, where they're going to give you a window where you reserve to ride a ride, and they give you a window to come back, and you can ride it between this time and that time. It's supposed to be very much like that.
Yeah,
so they're going to give you a certain time that you can come ride this ride, and it'll be huge.
But you still have a big crowd of people at that time.
You will, but they're hoping to be able to space people out and time them in so that people won't be just standing in the queue.
That's one of the big problems I have with, because we were supposed to go down there ourselves.
Yep.
And I just didn't want to deal with it. To be honest with you, I was like, "How are you gonna?" Okay. You have no fireworks. You have no show, no parades. That means you don't have Fantasmic at any of the parks.
From rides.
You don't have that crowd gobbler. I mean, do you remember the last time we went to Fantasmic? It was like we were
Herd
a
of
bunch
cattle.
of cattle in
We got stuck.
Frontierland. I mean, you were going one way, I was getting herded out the other way, and it was shoulder to shoulder. It was all you could hear was "Mrrr."
It was
You
bad.
know, it was bad.
Pretty bad.
I'd never seen Disneyland
That
packed ever in my life. I was like, look at this crowd. Holy
They
crap.
pretty much shoved everyone after Fantasmic right out of the park.
Yep. We wanted to go to Fantasyland. They shoved us out.
Right out the gate,
Right
out
out.
up front. We had to wind around and
Yeah.
go right back in.
Yeah. They were
the
shoving us out
stores.
in front Main Street, you know. So, okay. So, as far as resorts and stuff, they're only going to open up a couple of the hotels down at Disneyland,
Only
right?
2.
Paradise Pier and California Grand. And those will open up days later after the actual park opening, right?
Yeah,
I thought it was
days, right?
23rd or something like that. So I guess it'll be a few days there where you just go to the park. Old school.
Yeah, 23rd. Yeah, July
Yeah.
23rd.
So, all right. So, what's going to happen in the resorts? That's another thing. I guess we're going to, like you said, somehow they'll practice social distancing, probably much like we do now and around town. But they're going to probably have to require a mask around the resort, I would imagine. Boo hoo. Boo. Boo. Boo to the mask.
I'm very
Sorry.
much against the mask. I mean, I have to wear it. I mean, in my work field, we've both been in the work field the whole time as essential workers. And I will wear my mask when I am needed to. If I walk into an elderly home or anything like that, I am courteous to not. I know I'm not concerned about catching something because I am not going to live on fear. But I am not going to push my opinion on someone else who could get sick. So I do carry a mask.
Okay.
It is red Mickey Mouse, by the way.
Yes, it is.
I
She's
do
got the Mickey
carry
Mouse
a mask. And it was custom made for me, and I will put it on as a courtesy to my clients. And I think that's important as a courtesy. Now, however, do I feel like I need to wear a mask in the Disney parks? I don't. I feel like if you're sick, then you should be the one wearing the mask. If you're not sick, you shouldn't be wearing the mask. Because I think
Right,
it
but I
impedes
mean,
your
if they take
breathing.
your temperature, I mean,
know.
they're not going to be able to tell totally, I guess, just by taking a temperature.
I have a hard time with it.
I
really
just
do.
don't know how you're going to. I mean, I read a story about the opening of Disney Springs. It was a blog, and they went to the opening day of Disney Springs, and there wasn't a ton of people there, you know, but she was okay. The girl that wrote the blog was okay with wearing the mask, but she also said that she couldn't imagine wearing a mask, say 8 hours. She was only there for a couple hours. But to be in a theme park, you're in there for 8 hours.
Yeah.
That would be, she said, that would be kind of taxing, I think, on a person, because
In
it's
a lot of ways. It's tough. If you're wearing glasses, your glasses are going to be fogged up all day long because you're breathing into
and you're
your
gonna be bumping into people.
You can't understand what anybody's saying.
No, I
through the
can't.
masks.
You got to really listen.
It's hot. You're constantly inhaling your own carbon dioxide
Now-
instead of getting good
Now,
oxygen.
I will tell you that I haven't worn a mask at all, and I've been working all the way through this COVID-19. And the people I go into people's homes all the time to install floor covering. So, but I am courteous to the people, and they're courteous to us as well. Most people, they show us where we're going to work. We go in and do our work. They're usually on the other side of the house or whatever, We do practice the distancing thing. So I'm courteous and everything, but I got to communicate to the customer while we're there. So I haven't had a problem. I haven't had anybody demand it of me or felt like I was being disrespectful of them at all.
Right.
And I've been in several people's homes. You know that. You schedule the jobs for me. So neither the guy that works with me, he hasn't worn a mask either. So there's another side of it. We've been doing fine. So now, if somebody insisted that I wore a mask, okay, then I probably would. regardless how I personally feel about it.
Right.
Because I will, I'm going to respect their wishes. But thus far, at least in our part of the country,
nobody has requested it.
No,
really.
Most people we all respect each other's distance and everything. And to be honest with you, some
we have
people,
a very low count here.
Yeah, we have a very low
low.
count. We live in a smaller, more, I don't say it's rural, but maybe so compared to other places.
Huge town.
It's not huge, so it's social distancing is a little easier here.
Yeah.
To do, so that really isn't a problem too much.
And I'm grateful we we aren't in a big city, and we didn't have the curse of COVID like other people did with so many cases. And really, we only had one death, and he was already sick.
Right.
That's it. We didn't have it anymore, and we have a lot of seniors in this town.
Yes, we do.
It could have been ugly. This town has a ton of seniors.
We have a huge population of seniors, and
so the potential was there. I mean, we definitely had the people that were more sensitive to it here, but
although I go to the store all the time, and there's people wearing masks, and I don't wear a mask. I just go along about my life, and I haven't heard any derogatory comments toward me. I keep my mouth shut, I mean, not because I'm going to blurt out, stupid stuff.
With you, anything's possible.
Well, that's not the reason I'm keeping my mouth shut, but I just try to be courteous to people around me. But I see a lot of elderly people that they don't care, man. They're like, I'm going to live my life, and they're just going about. But there's lots of people that are wearing masks and stuff. So
I'm not going to live in
I'm
fear.
courteous to them. I'm not going to go up and start gabbing to them.
Yeah.
So
I choose
to each his own.
I can't wait. Actually, I'm very, very optimistic and hopeful that life will go back to normal eventually. And this isn't our new normal, because I want to be able
I don't want to have a new. I want it to be
hug
normal.
people and shake
that's
hands
normal.
and talk face to face and see expression on their face when I talk to them.
Right.
And
actually, that's one of the things I miss the most
I miss
is
seeing their faces.
not being able to see people's faces with everybody's having to wear a mask.
And I suffer enough at work not being able to see people's expressions while you're trying to show them things and products, and I can't get a read off of them because I can't see how they feel.
Yeah,
it's really hard. And I had one come in today that had sunglasses and a mask on. I couldn't see her eyes.
He's a Unabomber.
Or her face, and she had a hat on.
Remember the rules of
going
into the bank? You couldn't wear sunglasses or a hat, but now
you can't. There's emotion missing.
Yeah,
and it bothers me. And when I connect that to Disney, and I think I'm going to go to Disney where everybody is smiling, and half of the joy at Disney is people watching. The sheer joy on people's faces when they do things and see things for the first time, and you see parents sharing things with their children and families having a good time. I love to people watch. Right. Taking that element out without the rides, parades, or fireworks. That element
that's
alone,
gonna be weird,
not being able to see people smile.
Yeah, it'd be real.
Crushes me.
To be honest with you, just going around town in the situation that we're in and seeing a lot of people with masks and stuff on, it's weird. It's just odd. It's a really odd thing to see, and I can't imagine going to Disneyland or Disney World and seeing everybody in that state. It'd be odd. It'd be really odd to see that, even though I understand why they have to do it and everything. But it's not ready. I can't accept it.
Not as a way of life.
No,
I can accept it as it's something we have to go through.
And I'm choosing. Not to go experience that way. And maybe I'll change, and maybe I'll go. You know what? Heck with it. We're going to Disney. Obviously,
we're going in December, and you're going to wear a mask when we get on the plane. You have to. I guarantee that's going to last longer than the parks.
I don't know why that's
flights
going to
with
make any
masks.
difference.
I can almost guarantee that.
Freaking tube anyway, so what's the difference that makes?
Yep.
Anyways, so
we rescheduled our trip. Sorry, we got a little mask segue
so
there.
we didn't really want to get on the whole coronavirus.
We went off on a little tangent. So,
but
we talked about it, and we decided, due to some things. One, we didn't want to wear masks the whole time we were at the park. And Disneyland hadn't even planned an opening day yet.
We didn't know, yeah.
We didn't know. And our trip was only part with Disney and part
Now,
at Alani. And Alani
what
still
days
isn't
were
open.
we going to go to Disneyland on our trip?
The 22nd
So here
through
it
the
would,
25th.
So it would have been open. Now.
Yeah, it would have been open barely.
And we had
already had
reservations,
tickets.
so we were in. So
we'd have been all right getting in, but I don't know. We just made a call on that. Decided
and then the other part of it was the fact that
Alani's still closed.
And we had heard people that had gone to Hawaii for a trip, and they went there and got quarantined to their hotel room for 14 days. How long were we going to be at Alani?
9.
Okay, so what would be the point of going to Alani and getting quarantined in your room for 9 days and not be able to go anywhere?
Well, that, and as I was studying, they said you had to be tested and have certification of being tested to even enter Hawaii. And then they had a certain number of days that even at that you had to be quarantined. Even though
right, so I'm not going to go on vacation so I can be quarantined for 14 days.
You can't go on the beaches except to run or swim. They had extreme stuff. And a lot of places are still closed. So I just didn't want a partial experience our first trip to Hawaii. I wanted it to be a full experience.
Right. So we
opted to cancel. And then we had to use our points. Oh my gosh.
So now we had another trip planned in December with our friends, Steve and Carol. And so we had to use our points up from our Alani trip for our DVC points. And so what did you do, Kathleen, to use those points up?
It took me a whole week of calling and getting a busy signal and not being able to get through. And then finally, I picked up and just randomly dialed in the afternoon, and it got through. And I was like, ha! So I sat on the road in the shade under a tree for 45 minutes waiting to be able to take the call. And they got through. And the operator was super nice. They're working from home. She said she was sitting at home on the couch with her fuzzy slippers and a kitty cat between her knees as she was sitting there working out my problems with the laptop. But that was the working conditions. They're all working from home.
Right.
She was super, super nice, and she worked through all kinds of different ways. Our points would expire, even with the extension on the points, our points would expire at the end of February. Well, we already had a trip planned for December.
Right.
So to turn around and go again in 2 months, I guess we could have, but we were already going in March.
Right, because we have a cruise.
We have a cruise, if the cruise comes through.
Right.
We have a cruise scheduled for
situation.
March. So I was trying to get her to extend the points 1 more month. Give me to the end of March instead of the end of February.
She wouldn't do it, huh?
They could not. It's against the law. They can only do so much. So,
Disney is the law, aren't they?
So we only had until our use year ended. They extended our use year by 1 year, but you still only had to the end of your use year.
Okay.
Which was end of February. Ours rolls in March every year. So we went through scenarios from staying in, like, we were at the Polynesian. Well, we could take 2 days and stay out in the cabanas. Well, I thought, okay, 2 days in the cabanas for the cost of Hawaii.
No.
That made me sick. So
I would never agree to that.
Yeah,
anyways.
and I thought, I knew that you wouldn't agree to that. So I said, well, we're going to go and we're going to take a friend. My daughter's going to take a little girlfriend with her. So let's get something bigger. Let's try to find a 1-bedroom so we have more space.
Which we've done before.
Yep, and we liked it.
Yeah.
Nothing was available.
Well, everybody's trying to call in and get their trips replanned.
Nothing was available. So we did finally found a 1-bedroom at Saratoga, but it still left points on the table. We still had like 89 points left on the table that we wouldn't have used.
Okay.
So she was like, okay, now what do you want to do? And I was like, dang it. So we played back and forth on a number of days at the Poly to how many days somewhere else to use every last point that I had, because I was not going to just lose them. So I decided, and with the lady on the phone, I said, okay, how about a 2-bedroom? Anybody got a 2-bedroom open? And so she started digging around through 2 bedrooms, and she found a 2-bedroom at Saratoga at Preferred area, and I'm like, score. And they had, with point modifications and stuff, and she played with it. She goes, we can make this work. You can do a 2-bedroom. You'll spend 4 days at the Polynesian and the rest of the time at the Saratoga.
Which is how many more days?
How many more days? I think we are there December 5th through the 16th.
Well, 6 more days.
So the 5th through the 8th at the Poly, and then the 8th through the 16th at Saratoga. So we're going to have a room.
Nice.
Fit
2-bedroom.
for a king. 2-bedroom, sleeps 9.
Right.
So we called all of our family and invited them, all the kids. Hey, if you want to come join us, come join us. We'll have, we can have multiple people. They're all in college or just settling into new homes, and I'm not sure if any of them having a baby. Not sure who's going to be able to join us. We would love to have them pop in and join us, but we're not sure.
Even if they could only come for a few days,
and
just
leave,
a short
whatever.
trip,
Yeah, just to be able to share a little bit of our joy with them there, and kind of a Christmas thing. We're there for Christmas anyway, but it would be so much fun to do it together. So
we
anyway,
don't know if that's going to happen.
We don't know if that's going to happen.
It'd be great if it does, but if it doesn't, we're going to have this giant area.
Yeah, we're going to have this
Welcome
giant
to the
room.
area.
Welcome to the area. So, we may invite strangers up to share our room. We're going to have a big
Maybe we'll
room.
get some comments like, invite us, we'll come.
Yeah, we're going to have a whole extra room at the Saratoga.
So, so that'll be, we went and had that 1-bedroom at the Animal Kingdom last time, and that was pretty big. I can only imagine 2-bedroom's going to be.
2-bedrooms.
So it'll be a good experience to see what a 2-bedroom's like, and it'll be a different resort we've never been to. So we can report on that.
I'll use a cell phone to talk to my daughter. She'll be on.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's taking a little friend. Or it would be
if she enters into our room, we'll have to take a temperature. Make sure she doesn't have coronavirus.
I don't know.
Shut up, Rob.
We'll see what happens. But we'll see. We'll see who wants to come. I may kidnap a grandkid or something and maybe throw him into things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because I have the space.
Right. So that's what we're going to do. So we're reusing our points, getting a bigger room, different resort. So it'll be
We haven't stayed at Saratoga yet.
We haven't stayed there yet. It's near Disney Springs area, so hopefully everything will stay open and we'll be able to take that trip. Who knows?
Hopefully masks will come down by then.
Yeah, but if they don't, I guess we got to do what we got to do.
The other thing I'm hoping for, is we really booked this with a friend in hopes of doing the Christmas party because we've never done it.
But right now they're not doing parties.
Hold. Yeah, no parties. They've got it on hold. So
I really hope that they release. I'm not. You always like to see the fireworks, and I don't mind seeing them, but I hate standing there for 20 minutes. But I hope they do start doing that because it all adds to the atmosphere of the park.
It does.
All the parades. I'm not a big parade guy either. It's fun to stop and watch it for a little bit.
It's the magic of the parks.
Yeah, but it makes the atmosphere that much better. So hopefully by then they'll release that stuff and start doing that stuff again. I hope.
Right.
Because without that stuff, it's going to be kind of dead in there, right?
It is. Well, the parade in December, if I remember right, when we did it,
imagine it.
They did bubbles that looked like snow. You almost want
to go to a park where they have all these restrictions just to see what it's like.
Well, we're going to see what it's like.
You know what I mean? Just like go to Disneyland just to see what it would be like without having all that stuff, just so you can compare it to when they do bring it back.
I'm not willing.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be video on
there will
YouTube.
Be, and it'll be all right. So we are in desperate need of vacation, let me tell you.
Yeah.
We looked so forward to Hawaii, so bummed to have to let go of that dream.
We'll get there.
But we'll get there, and we're going to get through December, and hopefully we'll still have our cruise in March, and we'll do a land and sea in March, hopefully. Combination, which will be fun. And if DVC plans it, maybe a little DVC cruise in July.
Well, let's not get crazy, Katie.
Oh, it's all about crazy.
I know, but it's all about money too. We're not.
Oh, I know, but we're not
got a
paying
big
for a bunch of
boatload
trips
of money
this
to
year.
blow. So, all right. So that pretty much takes care of that. Now, we want to get into something that I read today that kind of fired me up. And I'm going to try to keep myself under control here because it kind of fired me up pretty good. I think it fired you up too, Katie.
A little bit. I had to do a little homework.
So it's about Splash Mountain. There's a petition going, I guess, that's been formed to change the theme of Splash Mountain. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but it kind of jacked me up.
Splash Mountain
Seriously.
is my favorite, all-time favorite
It's a
ride
popular
at Disney.
ride no matter what park you go to. It's a huge,
Yeah.
I love that ride. I love the music.
The nostalgia,
I
the
love
whole thing.
I love the story. I love what it teaches.
Zippity Doo-Dah is one of my ringers.
You know? Yeah, I
love
mean, it's a
that
fun ride,
the whole
right?
thing, right?
So, yeah, immediately when we were getting fired up about it, Katie was like, we better do some homework on this. So she looked up the author of these stories.
So the whole controversy is that this ride is based on the movie from Song of the South, which is about slavery, which actually, in my opinion, was presented actually in a very nice way. The relationship between the girl and the slave was very, very good. But that all being aside, the actual ride characters in it are Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear. Those are actually stories that were told long before Song of the
That's
South.
African American folklore, right?
It's African American stories.
Right.
From many, many moons ago, told way back in the slavery times, but they were their
So
stories.
these were stories that were told, they weren't
Correct.
written down. They were just told, like,
They were shared.
they were shared from
were
adults to children.
creative ways that parents that they told stories to the kids to help them learn a lesson. There was always a lesson involved, and they would intertwine cute characters and rabbits and different things on their journeys
Right.
that would portray something they were doing. For instance, Joel Chandler Harris, the author who wrote many tales, he was a very belligerent kid, stubborn, ornery. He had no father. His dad had left his mom, and he just struggled. He struggled fitting in. He was very shy, and he was raised in the time where they had plantations, etc. And he went and hung out with the blacks. That's who he hung out with. He hung with the slaves, and he finally felt at home there. That's the only place he felt comfortable. He didn't have to be pretentious or anything. And they would tell stories, and he could totally relate as the Uncle Remus told the stories of Brer Rabbit. He could relate to the character Brer Rabbit because they both were ornery and getting themselves in trouble all the time. And through the stories, he really learned a lot of life lessons.
Right.
And he loved
And
it.
wasn't that the point of a lot of
That
these
was the
stories
whole
that
point,
they were
yeah.
telling their kids as they're growing up
Yep. They
to
were
learn
life
life lessons,
And-
which we all do. I think we all
Yep.
do that with our kids. We all learn through story,
Mm-hmm.
how to treat people, how not
Yeah.
to treat people.
He cherished them. He cherished these stories. He was a writer, an author, and he did a lot in life. And I can go through, I have a few little notes I took because we did a little history on it. I decided this time I was going to do my homework because oftentimes we don't have the right answer when we're in here and we're guessing. So, did my homework this time a little bit.
It's our opinion, and
Yep.
some of this might be our opinion too, except for what you.
I
left
actually
around
researched online and looked it up. Harris had a personal life, and
Had a personal life.
I know that sounded funny, right? He had two different names. He was Joe
Okay.
Harris and Joel Chandler Harris. He was an author, and he wrote the Brer Rabbit stories from the African American oral traditions and helped to revolutionize literature in the process. So he took the African American
So he
stories.
celebrated
and
these
He
stories.
did. He loved them and
I
celebrated
wanted
them.
to get him into the
Absolutely.
society, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And again, he excelled in reading and writing, but did really poorly in school because he had trouble relating with people.
Okay.
He just didn't get along. He was so shy. And he'd
A lot
get
of us
into
could relate to that,
mischief
probably,
and pranks,
maybe.
and a lot of that was overcompensating for being so shy.
Right.
That he would do that to try to fit in. But again, he related to these stories, and they really helped him to get through his trials. Harris spent hundreds of hours in the slave quarters during time off. He was less self-conscious there and felt his humble background as an illegitimate red-headed son of an Irish immigrant who helped foster an intimate connection with the slaves. He absorbed the stories, language, and inflections of the people like Uncle George, Old Herbert, and Aunt Chrissy. The African-American animal stories they shared later became the foundation and inspiration for his stories of Uncle Remus tales. They became role models for Harris in life, and that continues as he had 9 children.
So they helped them. And
he continued, that tradition continued on as he passed those stories and taught them on to his children.
Right.
So it wasn't, I don't know, these are about...
These are a positive thing
stories,
for him.
Positive stories that were wonderful things. This isn't Song of the South about slavery. This is about stories told from, yes, they were slaves, but they were more African Americans who had these stories. And they shared them with him. And that was celebrated.
Right.
Not made fun of.
By this
him.
man.
He celebrated that.
And he tried to bring these things to the forefront
written.
for other people to enjoy.
Yep. Yeah. And he worked for the newspaper for a while. He did a lot of other things. And a lot of that... he didn't travel. He was very shy still, even though he wrote a lot.
Right.
Even in his adulthood, he didn't travel a lot. So he was presented many awards for writing that book.
Right.
And the tales within it. At one point, President Theodore Roosevelt invited him to the White House. And he finally left his home and went. And Roosevelt said to him, "Presidents may come and presidents may go, but Uncle Remus stays put. George has done a great many things for the Union, but she has never done more than when she gave Mr. Joel Chandler Harris to America's literature." So even the president appreciated.
And he's talking about the United States of America.
Yep.
This isn't the Union
No.
during the Civil War. This is
Talking
after
about
all
American
that.
literature. Throughout his career, Joel Harris actively promoted racial reconciliation as well as African American education, suffrage, and equality. He regularly denounced racism among Southern whites, condemned lynching, and highlighted the importance of higher education for African Americans. This is a man that fought for the colored. He felt comfortable with them and fought for them and relished in their stories. So I just find it almost a disgrace that they're calling it a race, that they want to change this because of racialism, when I don't think it was.
I don't
see it that way.
I know there's going to be
storytelling.
People, this is very controversial and everything, but when I look at that story that's told during that ride, right?
Yep.
When I get to the end of that ride, I get, okay, here's a rabbit. He wanted to go out and see the world. The grass is greener on the other side. There's lots of adventure. When in the end, just being at home is good enough. That's his happy place, right? That's his laughing place. Was home. That's where he realized, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. It was
right?
the story.
Isn't that kind of what you get out of that whole story that takes you through that ride?
Yeah. In no point in that ride, other than the characters were in Song of the South, had that movie never been created, the story still existed. And the ride could have still been created based on the stories of this African American.
Right.
Would they still cut the ride out at that point?
Right.
Because they're just stories.
I think Walt Disney... I don't know Walt Disney, or I never knew him, but I'm sure he looked at these stories in the same light, like he wanted to bring that to light. Now, but even back then, I think they knew that they'd probably get some kickback somehow, because even in this thing that you read about this author, that he was ridiculed or whatever in the turn of the century, right?
Yep.
Because of his stance on this stuff. But I think Walt really wanted to celebrate these stories. And it's like all the fairy tales. The fairy tales at Walt, these were
terrible
dark
stories.
Terrible stories. The Little Mermaid was it was terrible. Everybody dies, I think, in the real story. And Pinocchio, I mean, I read the Pinocchio one, and
Many of them were very dark and grim.
Very dark and grim. But there's still things you can learn from these stories. I think, but Walt took these stories, put them in a lighter tone, right?
Yep.
So, but the message was still there. So,
and gave them
I don't know, man. I really don't think they should change it. Now, one of the things that they said in the article that I read, where they said there was a petition to change these in the 3-part, Disneyland, Disney World, Magic Kingdom, and Shanghai, I think. Was they wanted to change it from the Song of the South kind of theme to Princess and the Frog. What do you think about that?
Although I could picture the overlay in some ways, because you are kind of in the New Orleans and jazz, and I could see the characters kind of doing that. I could see them incorporating the alligator playing.
Right.
I mean, I could see how they could do it.
Yeah.
Wrapping my mind around, I don't understand why. If they were just going to update to a new theme, and there wasn't the whole racial slur behind it, I think I could probably deal with change a little better. But
because we know Walt, he wanted things always to be changing, right? And there's a lot of animated features that don't have. I know some things you want to stay, but I mean, there's a lot of animated features that don't have representation in the parks, right? Yeah. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
If you think about it, there's a ton of them. That would be cool if they had some representation in the park. I think possibly a good avenue to go down with this is, okay, maybe change Disneyland's to Princess and the Frog. One of the things that the person brought out in the article was New Orleans Square is right there.
It's
Princess
better
and the
location
Frog
to pull it
is
off.
New Orleans, so that would kind of tie together.
It's not the same in Disney World.
I can see that could be pulled off, but maybe leave Splash Mountain the way it is at Disney World. It's not. There's nothing wrong with having something
Tower
different.
Of Terror and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I think that was a good change because you have something different to experience.
And you can still enjoy the original.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite rides. I just love going on that ride.
I can ride it over and over, and we do every time.
Right.
I don't get tired of it. I love that ride.
Yeah, I love the
nostalgic of it.
I loved America Sings. Did I already say that on the podcast? We were talking about it earlier.
You probably did, but that's okay.
But America Sings, right? It took the place of the Carousel of Progress at Disneyland. I liked the Carousel of Progress even as a kid. They changed it to America Sings. I loved it because it went through all the history of music, kind of, in the same way that Carousel of Progress goes. And then it went through Dixieland music and jazz and then rock and roll, and kind of took you up to the present, which isn't now. I mean, but I liked it. And when they closed that ride or show, whatever you want to call it, you did ride, I guess. I was bummed out because I really enjoyed sitting through that because I liked the music of it. And so when I saw that they took some of the characters and put them into Splash Mountain, it was cool. They did that. And some of that music was still in Splash Mountain. So, I don't know. It's a bummer to see things go. But I think if they do change it, maybe keep one of them like it is.
Keep it original.
I think, to be honest with you, I think Disney World is a little better than Disneyland. I don't know what it is. What do you think?
I haven't quite clocked what it is either, but I agree.
I don't know if there's a little more going on in some of the scenes. So
I
wouldn't be opposed to maybe if they were to change at least one Disneyland, maybe. Change it to Prince, because I think they could do something good with it. I didn't read into they said there was a guy in that article that did some armchair imagineering with the Princess and the Frog theme, how they could do the ride and stuff, and they were pretty impressed by his take on all that. Said he did a really good job. So I have no doubt that Imagineering can do something with that if there came down to it. But please don't change all of them. I don't think it's necessary.
I have a hard time. I like to see some of
Can we-
the original stuff.
Yeah.
It just feels like you lose part of your
I
childhood
know.
every time they take away
Even
an original
though
ride.
the parks aren't meant to be a museum,
I know.
but man, I
It's
enjoy
tough.
that ride. I was bummed out when they took Bear Country out of Disneyland, Country Bear
Country Bear Jamboree.
Jamboree,
Yeah.
because I like going to that in Disney World. I enjoy it, even though it's corny and whatever. I still enjoy watching it. So, anyways, you have any other comments on that? Did we cover that pretty good? I mean,
I hope so.
think I got
I
my-
hope we didn't get too political.
No,
or
man,
anything. I think we
I
try
hope
to
not.
keep it light, but we're just giving our own opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
yeah.
And I'm not saying right or wrong or anything like that. It's just how I personally feel.
So, how do you guys feel
I
about
don't know how
that?
you feel, but please, I mean,
If you
feel
have
free
any
to
comments-
share kindly.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be super mean. I mean, I don't care if you share your opinions on stuff, but we'd like to hear comments. If you guys have any comments on this topic or any of the other stuff we talked about during the episode, feel free to comment to us on Instagram.
Tell us what you think, or on our Facebook, Instagram, or wherever.
What did you have a trip that you had to cancel and bummed out, but made?
Did you get your points? Were you able to use them? How did you use your
Yeah.
points? I mean,
Yeah,
some people booked them in RCI. I don't know anything about RCI. I'm going to have to learn.
Well, we
something
tried
about
to,
that.
then we went and bought more points
Oops.
instead.
Okay, note to self. We're going to have a podcast about RCI not too long from now. I'm going to have to learn more about that and how to use those points in that avenue. So,
Yeah.
I will make it a point
That
to
was
do
the
a little
whole reason we
research
went
on
in to see the representative on
We
the cruise.
did, and
was to
then-
find out more about RCI, but then they hit us up for the Alani and we bought points.
It was such a good deal.
It was a good deal. It's the best deal we got. That's the best point value we got so far. So
Yeah, it
it's
was.
hard to pass up. But then we didn't get to use them.
It's all right. Our time will come.
Where's the DVC announcer guy? We need to be cheered up, DVC announcer guy.
So we
So,
did.
Hopefully you guys are all doing well through the COVID stuff.
Everyone's healthy.
Yeah,
Keeping your dreams of Disney alive. I love seeing everybody's posts.
Yeah,
of
we love
memories
Instagram.
and Instagram, ride makeovers, and just the ways that people are
keep
putting
sharing
Disney
those
in their
pictures.
lives.
I enjoy
Enjoy it.
scrolling through and seeing pictures. It kind of keeps things alive. And
There are some amazing photographers
yeah,
out there.
So,
oh my gosh!
thank
they're
you
beautiful
for
pictures. Thank you for
all-
sharing.
taking those pictures and sharing them because
It's keeping everybody.
yeah,
going,
I'm sure
sharing those
everybody's
pictures.
enjoying it.
Yeah, we
So.
miss Disney, and together we can all help each other get through it.
Yeah, so take care of yourselves. Do what you feel you need to do to get through these times, and
We love and appreciate all of you.
yes, and tell your friends we're out here. Let's get some more downloads of the show and get our community bigger. We appreciate all of you. And next week we were going to have an episode. I believe we're going to have Kurt and Alicia with us, and we're going to talk about favorite Disney treats, rides, and just experiences in life through Disney. So tune into that one. It should be a lot of fun. So until then, have a great week, and we are out of here.
See you next time.